Concern North East Wales is a young and vibrant organisation. We've only been going for the last 6 years and our services are expanding rapidly. We always have a need to find extra funding for the services that we're requested to provide by local older people. All of the money that comes into the organisation is invested in local services, and we are always looking for volunteers to support the projects that we operate. My name is Margaret Hanson and I'm the Chief Officer for Age Concern North East Wales. Age Concern North East Wales is a locally based charity. It's completely independent and it works across the 2 counties of North East Wales, Wrexham and Flintshire. There was a need for an organisation that could coordinate both strategic level action for older people to make sure that their issues were being taken on board by policymakers, and also begin to build up and deliver local based services that older people told us they needed that couldn't be delivered by the statutory authority such as the health service or the local council social services. The projects are divided roughly into 2 types, one of which is Ageing Well projects and the other is what we call locally empowerment projects. Ageing Well projects do what they say on the tin. They aim to support older people to enjoy their older age and to have better health and well-being outcomes for themselves. They look at things such as falls prevention, how to eat well in your older age and how to engage in physical activity to maintain your health. The other projects, the empowerment projects, look at issues such as securing your rights, making sure that you have the maximum amount of income that you can possibly have in order to buy goods and services, and to make sure that you can heat your home properly, especially over the winter months. By us obtaining a grant from Comic Relief to operate an advocacy project for older people in the 2 counties. This is now in its 3rd year of existence and has proved extremely successful and is actually oversubscribed. We struggle to keep up with the demand that is placed upon the advocate by older people for support. The project aims to support people who need help to gain their rights, basically, and that can be anything from writing letters to the council to taking up complaints about the way that they've been treated by the health service, or it can be looking at claiming grants and other sources of funding to enable them to, as I say, pay their way. We give lots of people support with sorting out end-of-life issues such as giving them the opportunity to talk to a solicitor to sort out their will and other issues relating to property. We are approached to work with older people who have been the subject of elder abuse, and we now liaise quite closely with Age Concern Cymru's Elder Abuse Project, which is also funded by Comic Relief, and we do give direct support to any older person who needs help in either approaching the authorities to get an issue of elder abuse sorted out, or who is subject to legal proceedings around elder abuse and who needs our support to make sure that their voice comes through when some of the complicated legal proceedings are actually going through the courts and that kind of thing. In the last year, between the advocacy project and the income maximisation project, together with some work by our Well Check project across the 2 counties, we brought in over £500,000 for local older people. With the start of the Well Check project, this is quite a unique project and it's won awards very recently for how it's managed, in that it's a partnership project. It's a collaboration between Age Concern North East Wales, Flintshire Local Health Board and Flintshire County Council. It aims to give short-term support to older people who don't qualify for intervention yet by the Social Services Department of Flintshire County Council, but who nonetheless need some help and some support and interventions to ensure that their health or their well-being doesn't deteriorate. What Well Check aims to do is work on a short-term basis with any older person that approaches them to give them information and give them choices about what services are available to them out in the community in Flintshire. The project operates only in Flintshire at the moment, and then giving that person support over about a 6 to 8 week period to take up some of the choices that are available to them. We work very much from the point of view of the older people that we work with. So if they tell us that X or Y is a particular problem for them, then we will give them the support they need to sort out that particular problem. Well Check has recently been evaluated and the funding for the project has now been secured by the local health board in Flintshire into the distant future. So we're very, very pleased that we do have that project secured for older people locally for at least the next 3 years, if not longer. As part of the initial WellCheck project, an amount of money was allocated to trial some services that we thought we needed locally, but which we couldn't secure the funding for anywhere else. One of those was a befriending service, which is called Time to Share. That aims to give socially isolated older people support to get back out into the local communities and re-engage with the social activities that lots of us take for granted. Again, the support can either be short-term and aimed at introducing somebody back into local clubs and societies, letting them find their own group of friends within those clubs and then withdrawing the befriending support and moving on to somebody else. Or it can be visiting a socially isolated older person who can't come out of their home for whatever reason, and taking activities into them within their home environment. The demand for a befriender is far outstrips the supply of volunteers that are able to be trained to take part in the project. Although the project does have the bulk of our volunteers, and we've got to date about 75 volunteers across the whole organisation, although we are always looking for more. The Food Solutions project. That project in its first year of operation looked at the needs of local older people and the barriers that were preventing them accessing good regular supplies of health promoting foods. It was aimed at ensuring that people could get out to the shops and shop on a regular basis for food. It looked at how we could better set up voluntary lunch clubs across the county, and it looked at some of the ways in which the services that are supplied via the internet through local outlets of large supermarket chains could actually be adapted and made available to older people, many of whom don't have access to the internet or have the skills to use the IT that goes with being able to surf the web. The Reminiscence project that we run is one of the more light-hearted projects that we're involved with. We were approached by someone who'd volunteered with us in the past and who has an interest in writing plays and the arts in general, to see whether we would give him support to approach the lottery for some funding to undertake a Reminiscence project. We were more than happy to do that, and we actually put in a bid to the Lottery Awards for All fund and were successful. The project is looking at the experiences of people who were evacuated mainly from the Merseyside area to North Wales during the Second World War, predominantly towards the beginning of the war in 1939-1940, and many of whom actually relocated either after the war or have come to North Wales as retirees. Go 50 is a walking project which was the very first project that Age Concern helped to get underway. It's run by local volunteers and it enables relatively fit and healthy older people locally. Usually they've carried on walking from their youth to carry on taking rambles and hikes in the countryside around usually Wrexham and Flintshire, although occasionally they do trespass over into Denbighshire. People walk every other week regardless of the season, and I am told by the volunteer walk leader that they have not yet repeated a walk in the 4 years that the project's been going, which takes some doing. They actually go out and they map out their own walks now using Ordnance Survey maps, and the walks are regularly undertaken by about 25 to 30 older people, and they go out in weathers which it defies belief, some of the weather that they will walk in, but they're very, very dedicated, and they obviously really enjoy what they're doing, and they're an example, I think, to lots of other people who maybe would benefit from engaging in regular physical activity. Sure Feet is a falls prevention project which aims to work with older people who have begun to experience falls within their own home or the immediate environs of their home, to put in place measures to prevent them from falling. That can be really simple interventions, such as ensuring that the stairwells and passageways of the house are well lit, as older people become more frail. Some of them find it very difficult to actually get up and change light bulbs, so one of our volunteers will go in and do that kind of thing for them. It can be doing a check on the state of their home in terms of looking at whether the carpets are worn, whether there are any rugs or mats which are trip and slip hazards, and enabling the older person to get some of the safety gripper material put underneath the rugs to stop them from slipping. It can be ensuring that the local pharmacist gets involved with that person to look at the medication that they're taking, because we know that if somebody takes more than 4 different types of medicine, the effects of doing that can actually be worse than the condition that they were taking the medicine for in the first place, and that can lead to them having dizzy spells and falling. We can enable them to get to their local ophthalmist and get their eyesight checked, because again, as age leads to the deterioration of your eyesight, people can begin to have falls simply because they can't see clearly anymore. And we can also pull in a number of other services, all of which are intended to prevent older people having falls which, once they get to a certain stage, can become very serious and actually can become life-threatening. We know that once an older person sustains a break of one of the large bones in their legs, the chances of them living an independent and confident life outside in the community begin to reduce, and if they have a second fall, a proportion of those people will actually end up living in a nursing or residential establishment. So it is really very important that the work of Sure Feet is well known out in the community. Age Concern North East Wales is involved in setting up lunch clubs. Whenever we do get a request from older people in the local community, we do have the resource to be able to go in there and give those older people the support that they need to make sure that the lunch club is set up, is a success, is within the ownership of those local older people, and is what they want to see happen within their local area. And we have a number of lunch clubs operating already in Flintshire, and we're always looking out for opportunities to get involved and organise some more. Without our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do, and local older people would miss those services. So we're always on the lookout for good quality volunteers who can commit maybe even only an hour a week. But even that hour to us would be absolutely precious and could make a real difference to the quality of life of a socially isolated local older person.